Welcome to Wellness Waves Podcast.
Okay, let's dive in. If you've ever, looked down at your plate and wondered, am I just like eating calories or am I actually fueling myself? Then this deep dive, it's definitely for you. We're exploring this concept today. Sounds a bit technical, maybe. Nutrient density. But the source material we have here, it argues this, is like absolutely fundamental.
Yeah, fundamental to how you feel, how you perform, even your long-term health.
Exactly. And based on this source, the power of nutrient density, it feels like it could genuinely shift how you think about food. Forever.
Well, what's really interesting is how the source positions it. It's not just, another nutrition buzzword.
Right.
It presents nutrient density as the core difference between just, consuming energy and truly nourishing your body down to the cells.
Quality over quantity, basically.
That's it, exactly. The ultimate expression of quality over mere quantity in your diet. And the source makes it clear, understanding this. That's key to unlocking better health, more energy, better physical performance.
Okay, so think about it like this. If you've ever been lost in all the diet advice out there.
Oh, absolutely. It's overwhelming.
Totally. Maybe you've counted every calorie, tracked every macro meticulously.
I've done that.
But you still feel, I don't know, kind of low on energy, or maybe wondering why your body isn't quite keeping up even when you think you're hitting all the targets.
That feeling of doing everything right, but something's still missing.
Yes, that's it. So this deep dive, using just the source material we have, aims to cut through that noise.
So what's the mission then?
Simple, really, but powerful. We want to clearly define nutrient density just like the source does. Understand why the source insists it's so critical.
More than just calories, right?
Way more. Then learn how to spot the real nutrient powerhouses and, importantly, the foods that kind of pretend to be healthy but aren't, according to this source.
Ah, the deceptive ones. Very important.
Super important. And finally, walk away with real, practical ways to actually use this knowledge. Stuff you can do today, straight from the source's advice.
Like a shortcut.
Exactly. An accelerated path to getting this powerful idea without getting bogged down.
And that speed is helpful because the source itself offers a pretty direct framework. It cuts through a lot of the usual complexity.
Yeah, so.
It just gives you this clear lens, right? Look at any food choice and ask, what's the nutritional return on investment for these calories I'm about to eat?
Ooh, return on investment. I like that. ROI for your food.
Pretty much. Are you investing wisely in your body? That's the question the source pushes you towards.
Okay, love that framing. So let's start with the basics then, the definition. From the power of nutrient density, how does the source define this term?
Okay, the source defines nutrient density as, let me get the wording right, how rich a food is in essential vitamins, minerals, and beneficial compounds compared to its calorie content.
Right, technical. So for you listening, maybe hearing this for the first time, what does that actually mean when you're standing in the kitchen deciding what to eat? How does the source help us translate that?
The source really emphasizes the ratio. That's the key word.
Ratio. Okay.
It's a measure of how much good stuff, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, fiber, protein, healthy fats, how much of that you get per calorie of the food.
Gotcha. Per calorie.
Exactly. So imagine you've got two foods, right? Both are, say, 200 calories.
Okay.
The one that packs in way more of those essential micronutrients and beneficial compounds for the same 200 calories, that one's more nutrient dense, according to the source's definition.
So it shifts the focus, not just counting the energy units.
Right. It's about evaluating the quality of the whole package those energy units come in.
Makes sense. It forces you to ask, okay, this gives me calories, fine, but what else is in here that my body actually needs?
Precisely. What else does it provide to help you thrive?
And that ratio idea.
Yeah.
The source has this fantastic example. It just completely nails the concept for me.
Ah, yes. The salmon versus the muffin.
Yes. 300 calories of salmon versus 300 calories of a muffin, even though the calorie count is identical.
Tell us what the source highlights about the difference there.
It's stark.
It really is the source's killer example for explaining this. So you take 300 calories of wild salmon.
Okay.
And compare it to 300 calories from, let's say, a standard blueberry muffin from a shop.
Right. Same energy number.
Same energy, exactly. But the source points out, the salmon, for those 300 calories, it's like a nutritional bomb. A good bomb.
Good bomb. I like it.
You get a significant chunk of high-quality protein, complete protein, which, as the source notes, is vital for muscle repair, feeling full, all sorts of body processes.
Okay, protein, check.
Then, critically, you get a big dose of essential omega-3 fatty acids. The source specifically connects these omega-3s to supporting brain function and heart health. Big hitters.
Oh, wow. Okay. Brain and
Yeah.
heart.
And that's not all. The salmon also brings various vitamins like B12, some minerals. So for 300 calories, you're getting this complex mix of macros and micros that, according to the source, actively build, repair, and support your body's most vital systems.
It's like you said, an investment.
Totally. An investment in structure and function.
Yeah.
Real building blocks.
Okay, that's a ton of value packed into 300 salmon calories. Now, flip side, the muffin. What does the source say those 300 calories are mainly giving us?
Right. So the muffin, same 300 calories, but the source shows it's a totally different story nutritionally. Its main contribution, refined carbohydrates and sugar. Lots of it, usually.
Quick energy, maybe?
Quick energy, yes, often leading to that blood sugar spike and crash. The source implicitly warns about. But here's the key. It comes with a much, much lower amount of essential vitamins, minerals, fiber, and those beneficial compounds compared to the salmon.
So less bang for your caloric buck.
Way less. The source actually uses the term empty calories for foods like this.
Empty calories. Okay.
You're getting the energy of the calories, but very little in return in terms of the essential stuff your body needs to actually function well. It's like putting gas in your car but forgetting the oil or the coolant.
Yeah, I might run for a bit, but...
Exactly. It won't run well,
Right.
and certainly not for long without causing issues.
That empty calories idea, paired with the salmon muffin example, it just makes it crystal clear.
Doesn't.
Calorie counts alone. They're just not the full story, not even close.
Vastly incomplete picture, as the source suggests.
You can eat 300 calories and literally build your brain and heart health.
With the salmon.
Or you can eat 300 calories and mostly get quick sugar and refined stuff with hardly any real backup support.
It's the difference between building a sturdy house with quality materials
Right.
and just stacking up some dry twigs that burn out fast.
Perfect analogy. So the source really frames the salmon as real fuel. Stuff that nourishes, sustains, contributes to health at a deep level.
While the muffin provides energy, but largely misses the chance to deliver those vital micronutrients.
So this example right up front in the source, it really hammers home why just focusing on the quantity of calories without the quality is missing the whole point of nutrition for well-being.
Exactly. It simplifies things, strangely.
Yeah.
It gives you that principle. Which choice gives me more nutritional ROI for these calories?
Okay, got it. Definition clear, the calories aren't equal. Principle is clear. Thanks, salmon and muffin. Now, let's shift to why the source argues this whole nutrient density thing is so critical. It explicitly says it's not just about eating fewer calories. What's the significance of that statement according to the source? Why is that distinction so important?
The source is really strong on this. It gets that managing calories matters for weight, obviously.
Sure.
But it argues forcefully that only looking at calories, that's just not enough for real health or peak performance. The source says nutrient density is about choosing the foods that fuel your body properly.
Fueling properly.
Which implies this broader view of food, right? It's not just immediate energy. It's the actual raw material your body uses to build and maintain everything.
Building blocks.
Exactly. Your body needs protein for tissues, healthy fats for cell membranes and hormones, carbs for energy. But crucially, it needs that huge array of vitamins and minerals. They act like spark plugs, catalysts for almost every single chemical reaction happening inside you constantly.
Okay. So if you skip those.
Well, the source suggests that if you eat enough calories, but they come from foods lacking those micronutrients, you might have the energy to, drag yourself through the day.
Purely?
Right. But your body's ability to do its essential jobs, make enzymes, heal a cut, fight off a cold, is compromised because it doesn't have the necessary tools, the necessary raw materials.
So you could be full, have energy, sort of, but your internal machinery isn't running right.
That's the core implication from the source.
Okay, so it's about giving the body the complete toolkit, not just the gas. And the source then lists some pretty big long-term health benefits tied to prioritizing these nutrient-dense foods. It mentions improved energy, stronger immunity, better digestion, sharper brain function. These sound amazing, obviously. But how does just getting more vitamins and minerals actually lead to these big systemic wins from the source's perspective?
The source presents these as the natural results, the cumulative effect of consistently giving your body what it needs. It doesn't necessarily detail every single biochemical pathway for each nutrient that seems outside its scope, but the framing is clear. When your body is well-nourished with a wide range of micronutrients, its systems can just work better. They operate closer to their potential.
So improved energy.
linked in the source's view to efficient metabolism, which needs tons of vitamins and minerals as cofactors,
Stronger immunity.
implies the immune system have the resources. The source mentions nutrients like vitamin C, D, zinc are generally known for this, though it doesn't detail them, basically. The tools it needs to fight things off effectively.
Digestion.
Supported by things like fiber and other compounds found abundant in nutrient-dense whole foods, which the source highlights.
And the sharper brain function.
That connects back perhaps to the omega-3s mentioned earlier, but also highlights the brain's huge need for specific nutrients to keep cognitive processes, memory, focus running smoothly.
So the source argues these aren't just isolated perks, they're connected.
Very much interconnected results, according to the source. It's the outcome of providing the optimal building blocks and the functional agents through a nutrient-dense diet consistently over time.
That makes a lot of sense. You enable the whole system. And the source specifically flags nutrient density for anyone into fitness or sports, calls it a game changer. Why single it out as so important for physical activity and goals? What's the source's reasoning there?
Yeah, the source is really clear on this. Physical activity, exercise, it just ups the ante. It increases your body's demand for micronutrients.
More demand.
Definitely. The source explicitly states vitamins and minerals are essential for processes directly tied to exercise. You need them for efficient energy production during the workout,
Okay.
for the complex steps involved in building muscle, and crucially, for effective recovery afterwards.
Recovery. That's huge for fitness.
Absolutely. When you train hard, you cause tiny muscle damage, you use up energy stores, you create metabolic waste products. The source implies that your body relies on a whole host of micronutrients, things like magnesium for muscle function, B vitamins for energy pathways, antioxidants to handle exercise stress to repair that tissue, refuel, and adapt to get stronger.
So even if I nail my protein and calories.
Exactly. Even if you hit your protein target for muscle repair and your calorie target for energy, the source suggests if you're low on key vitamins or minerals, those vital recovery and growth processes, they'll be sluggish, hindered.
Look at me.
Slower progress towards your goals, feeling more tired than you should, maybe lower performance, and possibly even a higher risk of getting injured, according to the source's logic.
Wow. Okay. That really drives home why just chugging protein shakes isn't the whole picture for fitness.
Not at all. The source argues micronutrient status isn't secondary for fitness, it's foundational. Your body needs those helpers to use the protein effectively.
Which brings us to that really powerful, maybe slightly scary point the source makes. You could eat enough calories, feel totally full, but still be seriously lacking in nutrients.
The hidden deficiency.
Yeah, the hidden deficiency, especially if you're eating mostly processed foods. What are the real-world consequences of this state that the source warns about?
This is a really critical warning from the source. It directly connects eating those calorie-dense, nutrient-poor processed foods to this state where you get enough energy input, but not enough nutritional substance.
Okay, and the results.
The source lists outcomes that hit hard on daily life. First, persistent fatigue, just feeling drained, run down, even when you think you're eating enough.
Like the engine's sputtering, even with a full tank.
Exactly. You have fuel, but lack the sparks and lubricants, the micronutrients, to use it well. Second, the source mentions slow healing.
Slow healing. Right.
Cuts take longer to mend, bruises seem to stick around forever, recovery from workouts feels like it takes ages. It reflects the body's struggle to repair itself because it's missing key building blocks and repair agents.
That makes sense. And long term.
Looking longer term, the source states that consistently eating this way, nutrient deficient, even if calorically sufficient, can actually contribute to developing chronic health issues over time.
Wow. So it's not just about feeling tired now.
No, the source frames it as having a real impact on your cellular health and how your systems function down the road. It really makes you pause and ask, as the source implies. If I'm always tired, if things seem slow to heal, could I be experiencing this hidden deficiency?
It's a sobering thought. Feeling full is absolutely not the same as being nourished.
Not according to this source, no.
Okay, so given that risk, how do we actively avoid it? How do we find the foods that do deliver that nutritional punch? The source gives us a helpful list, calls them powerhouse foods. Let's walk through those, get some concrete examples of what nutrient density looks like.
Absolutely. The source basically gives us a cheat sheet highlighting categories known for a high nutrient-to-calorie ratio. First up, leafy greens.
Okay, spinach, kale.
Spinach, kale, Swiss chard, collards, all those dark leafy things. The source points out they're incredibly rich in vitamins A, C, and K. plus minerals like iron and magnesium.
So lots of goodness in just a few leaves.
Exactly. A relatively small amount gives you a huge nutritional return for very few calories. They're a prime example, tying back to that improved energy the source mentioned.
Leafy greens. Got it. What else is on the powerhouse list?
Berries are next. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries.
The colorful ones.
Definitely. The source notes they're loaded with antioxidants, those compounds that help protect your cells, and also great sources of fiber.
And fiber is important.
The source specifically links the antioxidants and fiber in berries to supporting heart health. So grabbing a handful isn't just tasty.
It's like a little heart shield.
That's a good way to put it, based on the source's emphasis. An active investment in cardiovascular protection.
Delicious and beneficial. Always a win. What about nutrient-dense protein sources?
Fatty fish ranks high. Salmon, there it is again. Mackerel, sardines, anchovies.
The oily ones.
Yep. The source hammers home their exceptional load of omega-3 fatty acids. Essential fats, meaning your body can't make them, you have to eat them.
And crucial for.
The source explicitly says.
Yeah.
Vital for supporting both brain function and heart health. Reinforces that point about fats not just being energy. Some fats are critical building blocks, especially for your brain and heart.
So salmon is like a double whammy protein and those crucial omega-3s. Good to know. What about plant-based powerhouses besides the greens and berries?
Nuts and seeds get a shout out. Almonds, walnuts, chia, flax, sunflower, pumpkin seeds.
A whole variety there.
A huge variety. The source identifies them as great sources of healthy fats, plant-based protein, and minerals like zinc and magnesium involved in tons of body functions. They provide sustained energy and essential micros in a really compact form.
Convenient too. And eggs. Did they make the list?
They did. The humble egg gets included.
Yeah.
The source highlights its complete protein, all 9 essential amino acids your body needs.
Okay, good protein source.
But also points out it's vitamin B12, crucial for nerves and DNA, and choline. The source specifically states choline supports brain function.
Ah, so eggs aren't just protein.
Not at all. According to the source, they're a dense package of specific nutrients impacting brain and nerve health directly. Truly nutrient dense.
Okay, so recapping the powerhouses. Leafy greens, berries, fatty fish, nuts and seeds, and eggs. When you look at that list, based on everything the source has been saying, is there a common thread, a pattern?
Absolutely. And the source calls direct attention to it. It basically asks, notice a pattern.
And the pattern is...
These are all whole, minimally processed foods. That's a key factor in nutrient density. That's the fundamental principle shining through the examples.
Whole foods, minimally processed.
Exactly. And the source doubles down, stating clearly, the more processed a food is, the lower its nutrient density.
Why is that?
Well, processing often strips away the good stuff. Fiber, vitamins, minerals are lost. And then manufacturers often add back things like sugar, salt, unhealthy fats, which bumps up the calories, but not the nutritional value.
Okay, that makes total sense. So the simple, actionable takeaway for anyone listening is stick close to nature.
Pretty much. The closer a food is to how it grew, the more likely it is to be nutrient-dense, according to the source.
So whole foods should always be a priority, as the source says. It's a simple rule in a complicated world.
It gives you a really clear filter. Faced with a choice, ask, how much has this been messed with?
Yeah.
Less messing around generally means more nutrient density.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the flip side, the tricky part. The source talks about foods that look healthy, maybe even have health claims on the package, but actually lack nutrient density. This is where grocery shopping gets confusing.
This section is crucial, a real warning about, well, nutritional marketing traps.
Yeah.
The source highlights foods that project this healthy image, but processing has either stripped nutrients or added junk sugar, weird ingredients that undermine the nutrient density. It makes you ask, as the source implies, how do we see past the shiny label?
That's the million-dollar question, right? Because natural, low-fat, added vitamins, these words are everywhere. So the source gives specific examples of these misleading foods. What should we be wary of, according to them?
Okay, the source calls out a few common culprits. First, flavored yogurts.
Ah, even Greek yogurt.
Well, plain yogurt can be great protein, probiotics. But the source warns many flavored kinds are packed with added sugar, often more sugar than protein.
Wow, so that flips the ratio completely.
Drastically. Turns it from a decent protein source into more of a sugary dessert, undermining its nutrient density.
Okay, watch the added sugar in yogurt. Got it. What's another one?
Protein bars. This is a tricky category.
Yeah, they seem like the ultimate health food sometimes.
And the source acknowledges some are great, so there are good ones, But it cautions that many others are loaded with artificial ingredients, refined sugars, maybe unhealthy fats,
Yeah.
all things that lower the overall nutrient density, even if the protein number looks good.
So the protein is there, but it comes with baggage.
Exactly. The source implies you have to read that ingredient list. Is it mostly whole foods or a chemistry experiment? A high protein number doesn't automatically make it nourishing compared to, say, those eggs or nuts we talked about.
Read the label. Okay, what's next on the caution list?
Smoothies and juices. This one surprises some people.
Really? Aren't they full of fruits and veggies?
They can be, but the source draws a distinction. It says, whole fruit is fantastic, but juices strip away fiber, leaving mostly sugar.
Ah, the fiber removal.
That's the key issue the source highlights. Fiber is crucial for feeling full, for digestion, for managing blood sugar. Juicing removes it, so even if it's 100% fruit juice, you're getting a concentrated sugar hit without the fiber buffer. It affects your body differently than eating the whole apple or orange.
And bottled smoothies.
Can fall into the same trap, the source suggests, especially if they're mostly juice-based or have extra sugars added. Whole blended fruit is generally better than just the juice.
Okay, so removing fiber changes the game for juices. Makes sense. And the last category the source warns about. Seems like an old diet trend.
Low-fat packaged foods. Remember the low-fat craze?
Oh yeah, everything was low fat.
The source points out a common trick here. Manufacturers remove natural fats, but add sugar for taste.
To make it taste good again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fat carries flavor. Take it out, and food can taste bland. So they compensate by adding sugar, salt, artificial flavors. So you might cut fat calories, but you ramp up sugar calories and consume artificial stuff. According to the source's principles, that lowers nutrient density and isn't great for health goals.
Wow. These examples really show how easy it is to get tripped up. Just looking for low fat or high protein on the front. Clearly not enough based on this source.
Not even close.
Yeah.
The processing, the added ingredients, that's what dictates true nutrient density.
So what's the ultimate defense then? How do we navigate this?
The source gives the key advice right at the end of this section. That's why reading food labels carefully is so important.
Turning the package over.
Absolutely. The source is strongly implying. Ignore the hype on the front. Go straight to the ingredients list. Look for added sugars they hide under dozens of names. Look for artificial colors, flavors, preservatives.
And the nutrition panel.
Check that too. Not just calories or protein. Look for fiber. Look for vitamins, minerals listed. Is there actual substance there? This careful label reading, the source suggests, is your shield against that nutritional marketing. It lets you see if a food actually aligns with real nutrient density.
Okay. Deep breath. We've covered a lot. We know what nutrient density is, that ratio, why it's crucial. Health, energy, fitness. We have examples of the good stuff, whole foods. And we know about the sneaky stuff, processed pitfalls. Now, how do we actually do this? The source gives practical strategies for boosting nutrient density in our meals, right?
Yes, it moves from the what and why to the how, provides several clear, actionable steps, all building on the principles we've talked about.
Okay, what's step one?
The foundation, really. It repeats an earlier point, but frames it as direct action. Choose whole foods instead of processed options.
Back to basics.
Always. Make whole fruits, veggies, unprocessed meats, fish, legumes, whole grains, the core of your meals. By doing that, the source reinforces you're automatically picking foods with higher nutrient-to-calorie ratios. That's the starting point.
Makes sense. Build on a strong foundation. What's the next strategy?
Aim for variety. More colors on your plate mean more nutrients.
Eat the rainbow.
Exactly. The source connects the different colors in fruits and veggies to different types of nutrients. Those vibrant pigments often signal unique vitamins, minerals, beneficial plant compounds.
So getting reds, greens, oranges, purples.
Means you're much more likely getting a broader spectrum of micronutrients covering all your bases. It's a simple visual cue for nutritional diversity according to the source.
Cool. So whole foods first, then variety and color. What else should we prioritize?
Prioritize fiber from veggies, fruits, and whole grains. We mentioned fiber with berries and juices. The source emphasizes its role in digestion, feeling full, managing blood sugar.
And you find fiber mostly in...
Typically in those nutrient-dense whole plant foods. So consciously including high-fiber foods improves digestion and metabolic health, linking back to those long-term benefits the source mentioned.
Okay, fiber focus. What about fats? We talked about good and bad.
Right. The source advises. Include healthy fats from nuts, seeds, avocado, and olive oil. These aren't just calories. They provide essential fatty acids like those omega-3s.
And they help with other nutrients too.
Yes, that's an implied benefit. Healthy fats are needed to absorb certain vitamins A, D, E, K, which are often found in nutrient-dense veggies. So adding some healthy fat helps you unlock the full value of your meal.
Good point. And finally, does how we cook matter for preserving nutrients?
It does, and the source gives a practical tip. Cook smart steaming, baking, and grilling. Preserve nutrients better than frying.
Why is frying less ideal?
High heat, especially frying, can destroy some heat-sensitive vitamins, like vitamin C, some B vitamins. Plus, frying often adds unhealthy fats. Gentler methods like steaming, baking, roasting, grilling, they help keep more of the food's original goodness intact, ensuring that nutrient density makes it from the ingredient to your body.
Okay, those are super clear, practical tips. Choose whole, get colorful, prioritize fiber, include healthy fats, cook smart. Anyone can start doing that. And for the fitness folks listening, is there one last targeted piece of advice from the source?
Yes, it brings it all together for active people. The source recommends focus on protein, micronutrients, and hydration for better recovery and muscle repair.
So protein is still key for muscle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But crucially, the source ties micronutrients directly to recovery and repair. It reinforces that core message. Getting enough protein isn't enough on its own.
You need the helpers.
You need the full toolkit of vitamins and minerals to actually use that protein effectively to rebuild muscle, refuel energy, adapt to training, and hydration is foundational too for all those processes.
So for athletes, it perfectly sums up the source's point. Performance and recovery depend on the whole nutritional picture, especially those micronutrients from dense foods.
Precisely. Macros and calories matter, but nutrient density provides the essential operational support.
Okay, wow. This deep dive, really sticking to what the power of nutrient density tells us. It's laid out the concept so clearly, from the basic ratio definition
Nutrients per calorie.
to seeing it with the salmon and muffin, realizing why it's so key for energy, health, fitness, getting those lists of powerhouse foods and the ones to watch out for.
And importantly, those practical strategies to actually do something with this knowledge.
Yes, it feels like we have a really solid framework now, thanks to this source.
Absolutely. And the source's core message just rings through nutrient density. It's not just a factor in nutrition, it's arguably the most important factor.
The difference between just eating and truly nourishing.
Exactly. Making every single bite count, as the source puts it.
And the promise, the payoff, according to the source, isn't just some vague idea of health. It's tangible stuff. Better energy day to day, stronger immunity, smoother digestion, clearer thinking, better performance and recovery.
It really connects the dots. The quality of your food directly impacts the quality of your life and health.
So hopefully for you listening, this deep dive has helped you start to see food through that lens, that powerful filter of nutrient density, just like the source suggests.
Yeah, moving beyond just calories or chasing the latest diet trend and focusing instead on the actual nutritional value, the payload of your food choices.
It's a shift in perspective, for sure.
It is. But the potential rewards, as the source lays them out, seem huge. So if making every bite count, choosing those whole nutrient-dense foods consistently is the key strategy the source pushes for. Maybe a final thought to consider.
Yeah.
What's one processed food you eat pretty regularly, maybe just out of habit or convenience? And based on everything we've discussed from the source, could you swap it out this week for a more nutrient-dense alternative, just one swap?
Ooh, that's a great practical challenge. Identify one processed habit, find a whole food swap, applying the principle directly. I love it.
A small step, but rooted in the source's core idea.
Fantastic. Well, that feels like a perfect place to wrap up. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the power of nutrient density. Keep thinking, keep exploring, and maybe start making those bites count just a little bit more.